sort of God loving do I keep locked inside? 'Cause demons circle like vultures, waiting for my will to die. And it's not fair, I don't care enough to face this hurt. And it's not fair, I don't care enough to make it work with only myself to blame for a higher choice, crippled in pain.
How did you get started in music from the very beginning?
Well, basically for me, I saw myself as a singer and as a performer ever since I was just a little tiny girl. Like I always make the joke that I was basically most likely using my mother's umbilical cord as a microphone, so because from the moment I popped out, like I was humming, I was singing, and I was in choirs all throughout my elementary school, and then did a lot of musical theater. And then it wasn't until I was in university that I met a guy and he was wearing a Deftones t-shirt, and I was like, oh, I love the Deftones. And then we just started talking. He's like, oh, I'm a guitar player. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm a singer. And then he's like, do you want to join a band? I was like, okay, cool, that sounds awesome. And it just sort of propelled itself from that moment on. Once I started writing my own music, it was just kind of like after a show, I kind of had like this out of body experience where everything was just kind of in slow mo with absolutely no drugs or being under the influence of anything, and it just kind of hit me. It was like, this is what you're meant to do right now. So it just kind of went from there, and here I am 4 years later with Polarity, after having been with many other bands. My original band was called Salem Drive, and we were together for about a year, and we did a couple of shows, and then I joined a band called Integer, and that didn't work out after a couple of months of being together. And then luckily for me, the guys in what wasn't Polarity at the time, but a couple of the guys in currently Polarity were looking for like vocalist, writer, and I was writer looking for kind of progressive rock band, and they sent me a couple of riffs of what is now our song Shadow, and I wrote for those and walked into that jam room and sung Shadow. And kind of one of those things where like we're both eyeing each other down. They're like, okay, and I'm like, okay, and then the rest is kind of history. So
Now you actually you responded to a Craigslist ad from them, didn't you?
exactly. Yep, they were on Craigslist searching for a vocalist, and I was on Craigslist looking for a band. And that was Mike Satana was the original one who put that ad out, and he and I connected via the phone. And like I said, yeah, they sent along a track, and then next thing I knew, I was in their jam space.
Now, how did you know, like being in other bands, when you started jamming with this band? What was the moment like? How did you know this was your fit?
It didn't come like during that initial first jam. It was kind of one of those things that I think, looking back on it, probably like a couple weeks in, once we started writing, it was basically almost like, boom, we wrote Shadow, boom, we wrote Digital Recluse, and then like, boom, we wrote Home is Tomorrow. And it was kind of once all of like our songs just started really coming out and flowing together that it was like, okay, you know what, this is a good fit for us. And we all really enjoyed being around each other. We're all the same age, and we all have similar interests, and there was absolutely no egos, which was awesome, because the band that I had just previously gotten out of, I found that was just kind of like, you know, the driving thing that kind of brought us apart, was that nobody was taking constructive criticism properly. And yeah, so with these guys, it was really open and easy, and communication was great. And yeah, I'd say so probably a couple weeks in, when we started just writing, and songs just started flowing.
Now, a lot of people are discovering your band now, but you've actually been around for 4 years,
Hmm.
and you have a full album, an EP, a single, and two
Yeah.
music videos that's been released.
Yep.
So talk about like the first 4 years in this band.
Okay, yeah. So the first 4 years, upon finding each other, like I guess we really found each other at the end of 2008, and then by April of 2009, we had our first kind of 5 or 6 songs written, played our first show, started gigging from that point forward, and then went into studio around September of 2009 and released our first album at the end of October 2009. And then basically continued to play shows. We lost our original drummer, so a good chunk of the next year was looking for a drummer. So basically having everybody under the sun come in and jam with us, which is definitely an interesting experience because you get a lot of characters and a lot of people who kind of come in and are like, oh, I just want to jam. And we're like, yeah, but did you listen to any of our songs, you know? So that was kind of took up a big part of like the beginning of our formation. And then Eric joined just before we released the 2009 release, and we ended up touring that all the way to the east coast of Canada on a 2-week tour, which was awesome because that was like our first time on the road, and we absolutely loved it. You know, by the end of it, we came out stronger as a band and not any worse for wear. So, and then while we were gigging, we do gig a lot around Ontario and Quebec. So while we were gigging, we were still kind of writing songs, and that's how the 2011 EP came out. In between jams and playing, we were still actively writing. So once we had another 6 songs, we're like, okay, well, we may as well get into studio and record these. So we ended up doing that, I guess sometime kind of mid 2011, and released the album in the summer of 2011, and then just continued trudging along and playing a ton of shows, and then got the videos out there, and I guess kind of the rest is history, other than the fact that after we released the 2011 release, we put together these music videos, and those have really definitely helped to get us out there to a much bigger platform, which is awesome, because one of our downfalls as an indie band is that we haven't ever sought proper publicity. So when you initially put together a band and you're kind of in your young 20s, you're like, yeah, we just wrote an album, this is so awesome, we're going to put it out there, it's going to be huge, you know, and then you put it out there, and it's cool because like people were very receptive to it. And one of our friends, or a guy that has interviewed us, and said that our first album went underground gold. And when he said that, we're all like, oh man, that's a really cool way to look at it, like it went underground gold. But you know, you don't necessarily think like anywhere beyond, like, I guess, I don't know, just like underground, you want to get kind of above ground, I guess, at a certain level. But yeah, so that's kind of like our first 4 years in a nutshell of just writing, figuring out each other, figuring out our writing style, and just playing a lot of shows. If you check on the on our website, you can see we've played over 100 shows in and around Ontario and Quebec. So
talk about between the first first album and the EP, going in and making that first album. Obviously, when the EP came out, it was a step above a little bit. I think personally, as far as production values, the writing was a little bit better. Not that the one in the first one was bad, but you could tell everything was taken a step forward. What did you learn after the release of the first one going into the EP?
Oh man, that's a good question. Our first EP, or our first album, was done with completely independent producers. So it was their first time kind of really taking a band under their wing and recording, you know, a good beefy set of songs. And it was our first time being in studio. So we really learned, I guess, to 100%, you know, basically know your shit, know what you're going in to record. And we weren't there to just kind of figure out our songs. During the 2011 release, we worked with a producer called Mike Langford out of Pawn Shop Studios. So he's 100% legit and professional, and he expected us to know our songs and to know what we wanted to go in and lay down. Of course, being open to making suggestions and changes here and there, but ultimately, you know, just be confident in what you're going to be doing when you are sitting, you know, in that chair to record your guitars, or when I am stepping into that vocal booth. Because basically it was like, okay, well, you know, we got 2 weeks, here's your slot, here's your time, and go. And, you know, outside of that time, it's like, and I've got another band booked, you know, next week. So really, I think just that the fact that, you know, with the 2009 release, we all kind of went in and we took our time, and I guess we just kind of enjoyed being in studio and kind of that process of creating an album. But with the 2011 release, it was like, okay, we've got these songs, we want to get the best out of them. You know, like you said, hopefully as an artist, you were always evolving, and we knew that we did want to put more money into it. We wanted to get a better sound quality, we wanted better production behind it. And so we found a producer that we really thought could bring it for us and who was digging what we were putting out, and we just went in there and just laid the tracks down, and literally it was almost done like within a month, from like drums, from like pre-pro to drums to the overdubs to vocals and then over to the masterer. So
If my dream keeper is a poet with subconscious communication, then why do I dream of you again? If my words paint my surroundings with distortions of my perception, then why do you become my words again and preserve paradising high above, changed by misconceptions of
that was a song that, again, we were just kind of gigging, and it just kind of all came together in our jam room over a couple of jams, and we started playing it live. So we thought, while we're not releasing a beefy set of songs or an album, let's go into studio and give people a sense of what actually happens in studio and who we are. We're never a band that wants to promote an image of something that we're not. We're just a bunch of kind of laid back people that love to make music. So we thought, let's invite our listeners into the studio with us while we record it. So we went in for a day at DNA Studio, which is a Wicked studio just outside of Toronto, with some producers that we had worked with before, and just went in and laid down this track. And they kind of knew the song and they liked it as it was, and we were all confident in the fact that we were just going to go lay it down over a day. And we had one of our buddies come along and put the footage together, and that is Toph. And it's really a song about lost love and kind of that character of the person that you never wish you let go.
Now, is that just going to remain a single, or is that going to be included in part of a upcoming EP or album?
We've kind of debated that. We think it's pretty much just going to remain a single.
Okay.
Yeah.
You recently released a statement, actually just last night, about how your 6-month employment just ended and you're devoting your entire time to your artistic endeavors.
Yes.
Talk about making that decision, because that's obviously not an easy decision to make.
Yeah, it's almost not a choice for me. I really feel strongly that it's a calling within my life, and therefore any time that I've strayed from this path, it's led to severe depression and just the most negative feelings that anybody can feel, I guess. So the choice to really leave, what most people would consider a stable job and kind of your white picket fence is easy in the sense that, like, I know it's what I'm meant to be doing, and there are going to be hard times, and it's certainly not easy to get your independent band off the ground, but at the same time, it's just been wonderful to start having people such as yourself reaching out saying, we really support what you're doing, and seeing the fans writing to us on a daily basis saying, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, has really helped to motivate me and push me and let me know that yes, I'm going in the right direction. Because I'm really a strong proponent of following your bliss, doing what makes you really happy in your own life, because only then are you really truly going to satisfy your human experience. So yeah, I guess that choice just kind of came in the form of any time I haven't truly followed my passions with my music and my art, I feel really depressed, and I don't want to live that way. I would hate to wake up, at the age of 40 and say, wow, what did I do? I just completely wasted my life, because this is not what I want to be doing. So the only way to do it is to dive in head first, and I'm really excited to have the next couple of months to really focus on all things music and art and health.
Now, it may seem like a simple thing, but what can people do that want to support you, even if they're, not wealthy or whatever? What, from the smallest thing to the biggest, like what can people really do if they want to support you?
Man. That's a really good question, because, part of me wants to just say, just keep giving your verbal encouragement, and 100% that is absolutely appreciated, and it really goes to heart and to soul anytime somebody does tell you they believe in you and what you're doing. But really, as an artist, what you want to be doing is making money from your art. So from our perspective and from my perspective personally, I need to be producing art to put out there. And ultimately, hopefully, people that it really resonates with will pick up on it and start buying it. So whether that means, downloading our songs, purchasing some merch off online, coming out to the shows, some people are completely amaze me after a show. They'll just come up and, they'll buy something and then they'll be like, and here's $20. And it's just like, what? What do you mean here's $20? They're like, yeah, just as a tip to the band. And that just completely blew me away the first time that happened. But yeah, if you want to donate to an artist or a musician, you're only helping them sustain hopefully what you love and what they love. So definitely picking up on anything that they're putting out is hugely helpful. The other way that you can support them, even if you don't have any money, is to just keep spreading the word about them. Keep getting more people, more listeners, because even if you don't have the money to support them, maybe the next person that you pass them along to will, and then in a sense you've really helped support them and fund them. So
now you really work hard, I see, like all over Twitter and everything, as far as the promotion aspect of this. How important is social media to your success as an unsigned band?
It's huge. It's huge, and we're really only realizing that now, because for the first, I'd say probably 2 years of our band, we just didn't focus on social media at all. We were just in our jam room and playing shows. And as wonderful as it was to be out there in front of people, that really only goes within those four walls of that space. So now with social media getting out there, it's amazing to see. We have fans in the States, we have fans in Europe, we have fans in Jakarta and all over the world. So it's really been something that us as a band have had to adjust to. I personally wrote Digital Recluse off our first album about the fact that I am really a digital recluse. I didn't sign up to Facebook until a couple of years ago, and I resigned to myself that I'd never be on Twitter and all of those kind of things that you really do want when you really are a private person and you hold your private life very closely. But at the same time, when you are an artist and you do want to continue to pursue your passions, you have to be out there and hustling the internet. So that's what we do now. We just hustle the internet day and night and hustle our jam room and hopefully be hustling the road soon. So really, I just say every day I'm a hustling,
How does your music translate to your live show? I know you guys put a lot of effort into your live music, and that's really important to you. How does the CD, like when people come to a show, how does that CD translate to your live show?
People actually say, and it's awesome, they say you're better live than you are on your album, which is, one of the best compliments I think you can get as an artist. But really, when we went into record our albums, and I think just us as a mentality as a band, is that's exactly what we wanted when we recorded the album. We wanted almost that live sound on an album, so that when you do come to a show, it's exactly what you expect it to be and hopefully better. So, there really isn't any fancy bells and whistles on our album. It's, what we're capable of playing at the time with my voice. It's basically like, don't even touch it with auto-tune. I don't even care if it's not perfect. That's how I prefer my voice to sound, because it's real then. We want to create real music, and hopefully when you come to a show and you're familiar with the songs, it resonates with you because you're like, wow, this sounds amazing. Like, they're definitely pulling it off, and then takes it to that next step where it is that live element, and you can really feel our energy as we put it into the moment live, and get our sweat all over you as we're just completely ripping and shredding all over the stage.
All right, let's talk about name the goals of the band, both for short term for this year and your long term outlook.
Goals of the band short term are definitely to get into studio and release our upcoming album. That's really what we're focused on right now. We want it to be a nice beefy release, and we are calling it our most ambitious release to date. So, more songs than we've ever released at once. So getting into studio with a great producer that really believes in us and can help us take our music to the next level is definitely on the short term. Like within the next year, go into studio, release it, and then start touring it. Within the long term, like let's just say within a year, we really want to break into the States. We'd love to come down and tour the States, but we really need help kind of getting there. So, hopefully get some proper management going, get some proper publicity going. We know we're going to be investing in that with the upcoming release. Get label backing, if the right label comes along and we really feel what they're putting out and they're really feeling what we're putting out. Anything that really can help support us is what we're looking to do, but tour the world. Ultimately, like when I see long-term goal and like what my ideal dream of making music is seeing the world through music and being able to influence, people of the world in a really positive way and help them enjoy the moment of the music that we make and hopefully help them add a wicked soundtrack to their lives with our tunes.
Okay, final question.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about your art, your music. We've talked about what inspires you.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that scares you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think what scares me the most is not having anything productive to offer. So, not following my dreams, not creating, not putting out meaningful music, just sitting like a couch potato and thinking about what I want to be doing as opposed to doing it. That really scares me the most because, if I do it with all my heart and I put it out there, even if, by everybody else's standards I'm not successful, at least I'll feel successful within my own right. But if I don't do that, if I don't put myself out there the way that I know like I need to and I'm starting to do more and more, and again I'm just kind of like thinking about it, then that really scares me because it will never get done and time will pass and your life is just a short blink in a cosmic spectrum of infinity, so you may as well enjoy it and make the most of it while you're here.
Okay. Since we got you on video platform right now, is there something you would like to say out to your fans, people that have been supporting you?
Oh man, there's so much I want to say. Like if I could just reach out and like just hug and kiss every single one of you, I absolutely would because we have so many amazing fans. So just, thank you so much to anybody that believes in our band and that, continues to give us the encouragement that comes out show after show after show. And thank you to all those new fans that say, I'm waiting for you to come to Texas, I'm waiting for you to come to Colorado, I'm waiting for you to come to New York. It definitely continues to push us and give us the motivation to get out there. And yeah, just please keep sharing all of our tunes because we are 100% independent. We don't have anybody doing anything for us. It's all us, trying to make, a living for ourselves and then also just trying to, push this band as hard as we can to get it out there so eventually it will become our living. And thank you to you, Mark, for doing all that you do. It's really wonderful that you're out there, giving bands that really are beneath the grid a platform to get their music out there and to promote it. Because if it weren't for people like you, we really wouldn't have anybody as well. So many, many thanks to you for picking up on Polarity and for wanting to do this interview with me.
Absolutely. Well, I found you from you responded to me on Twitter is the only reason I know about your band, actually. So it's working.
Exactly. We hustling and it working. That's all we know. We keep doing it.